We now learn about stationary points, which are also known as critical points. Now here's the idea. Let's say we have a curve on an xy grid like so, x and y, and our curve looks something like this. And its equation is y is equal to some function of x, f of x. Now a stationary point is a point along the curve at which the gradient is equal to 0. In other words, a stationary point is a point at which f dash of x is equal to 0. Another way of writing this is it's a point at which dy dx equals to 0. Since the gradient is equal to 0, the tangent to the curve at that point will be horizontal. And so looking at the curve we've sketched here, we can see that there are 2 points along its length at which that would be the case. Indeed, we can see we'd have some point here at the top at which the tangent would be horizontal, and we have another point here at the bottom at which the tangent would again be horizontal. Now at both of those points, the derivative, f dash of x, would equal to 0. And both of these points are stationary points. The first of the two, at the top here, is known as a local maximum. We say local maximum simply because it doesn't mean it's the highest point on the curve. It simply means that in its immediate neighborhood it is the highest point. Indeed, we can see that on either side of that point the curve is going downwards, hence the term local maximum. Similarly, we can see that the second point here is a local minimum. And so those are 2 types of stationary points that we'll be studying. There's another type of stationary point that we need to know about, and that's the following. Say we have, again, an xy grid, x and y, and we have a curve, this time looking something like this. Now, looking at this curve, we can see that at somewhere here, there's a point at which the derivative will equal to 0. In other words, there's a point at which the gradient is equal to 0, and the tangent will therefore be horizontal. This type of stationary point is known as a horizontal point of inflection. And there are 2 types of horizontal points of inflection. Decreasing horizontal points of inflection, like the ones we see here, and we can see that as we go from left to right, the curve is decreasing, and we can also have a increasing horizontal point of inflection, and that would look like follows. On an xy grid, we'd have something looking like this. And again, we would have a point at which f dash of x is equal to 0. In summary, in this section we're going to be studying stationary points. Those are points at which f dash of x equals to 0. Consequently, those are points at which the tangent to the curve is horizontal. And there are 3 types of stationary points that we need to know. Those are local maximum, local minimum, and horizontal point of inflection. The next thing we'll learn is how to actually find or locate these stationary points along the length of a curve.